Good evening, all. This is Jack from Charting the Markets, and this is the Bigger Picture webinar for the evening of Sunday, the 19th of July. My disclaimer, I do this for educational purposes only. I'm here to share my technical analysis with you. I hope you can take some of what I'm doing and learn from it, transfer it to your own charts, and know how to shoot trading signals. This is a video for paying subscribers at CTM The Bigger Picture.substack.com. It's published on YouTube after a delay of a week. All right, great. Let's have a look at the futures. Obviously, it reopened 45 minutes ago, and we are seeing ES is slightly down. No, it's about even at the moment. I am wondering if we might see a retest this low, perhaps set up a little level bottom. There is definitely some grounds to think about a rally here. One of the reasons is that we've got a 6-minute buy signal fixed, and on NQ we didn't get one of those, but we will see. We've got a nice looking bull flag, well, not quite a bull flag, but a falling wedge, and this looks like a bullish underthrow. Obviously, it might break down further. There's the war. News could get ugly, potentially, so but it's not a bad setup to be looking for a move up. Looking at RTY. RTY, we've got a very nice looking head and shoulders here, and that is fully formed, but it hasn't broken down yet. So if it does break down, of course, there's always the option of course, rejecting back up into the high. On YM, we've got a head and shoulders, and that has broken down. Weak 6-minute buy signal has fixed there. DAX hasn't no pattern to break down from here, but I've got pretty nice looking falling wedge that's fixed here and made it back to resistance. If that breaks up, that could set up a rally. The STX, we will see, not really seeing an awful lot at the moment. Potential double bottom setup, maybe. And Nikkei. Nikkei, we've got a nice looking falling megaphone here, which has underthrown. This may well be a bull flag. So got to say, overall, the patterns I'm quite liking a rally tomorrow. The other reason I'm thinking that we might see a rally tomorrow is the 20th of July is traditionally bullish, and that's 71% bullish. Otherwise, you've got to say things are looking pretty mixed over the last 2 weeks. Sorry, over the next 2 weeks. On Tuesday, we've got a 67% bearish day, neutral Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Monday and Tuesday next week. Well, the following week. And then we've got a bearish day on Wednesday, the 29th of July, which is also the FOMC meeting. We've got a bullish day on Thursday, the 30th, neutral day on the 31st, and a bearish day, interestingly, on the first trading day of August. So that is, so we're looking, we had some bullish tape in the last couple of weeks. I think all the war stuff pretty much took care of that, actually delivering much on the upside. But I got to say, given the way the war is going, given the way it is expanding, given the way that oil's been going up, stock's been pretty resilient. And I got to say, we've got some unfinished business above. We still have unfinished business above, in the sense that we have head and shoulders that failed with targets at retests of the all-time highs on both SPX and the Qs. And I'm still wondering if we might see those. So we will see. Overall, definitely room to think that we might see some bullish action. And tomorrow, of course, we are actually scheduled to have some bullish action. We will see how that goes. This is an interesting one. I'm going to be showing to you when I'm going to be doing more of the webinars before the reopen, because actually I've got this thing here which shows me what the markets are doing over the weekend, and that actually is quite a useful tool. So we will see. Anyway, moving on to SPX. In terms of the daily chart, we saw a break below the daily middle band on Friday. Now, the obvious time to see a break back up, i.e. a failed breakdown, would be the next day. So I'm going to be watching to see if we can get a strong recovery back over the daily middle band tomorrow. We also saw a break below the 50 MA. If we should continue down from those, then obviously the mood darkens significantly. In terms of ES, we broke back below the daily middle band and the 50 MA as well. In terms of the hourly chart, not a lot to see, but if we retest this low here, then we could see a possible RSI 5 buy signal brewing. Not a lot to see on the 15-minute chart, really. So we shall see. All right, looking at the Qs. Qs was already below the daily middle band and actually managed to test the 3SD lower band at the low on Friday. That 3SD lower band closed at 685. The low was at 686. That was a visual hit, certainly. So that is often going to be an area where you will see a bounce, and I'm wondering if we will see a bounce. In terms of the daily RSI 14 sell signals, which are fixed across the board here, we're still somewhere away from the targets here. I'm expecting those to make targets at some point in the next few weeks, but I haven't got any strong preference about when exactly that would be. In terms of the hourly chart, not really seeing a lot. Qs is testing a significant support level here around 685. 15-minute, not a lot to see. But I would say that in as much as it looked like we had a triangle here, it is broken down from it. All right, looking at Dia. Dia, we broke below the daily middle band as well. Again, if we see a reversal back up tomorrow, that can be bullish. If we don't see a reversal back up tomorrow, then that is fairly unambiguously bearish. In terms of the hourly chart, nothing to see really, but we did see a break, fairly clear break, below the rising wedge support from the late March low. We will see how that develops, but that does have me wondering about more downside, but what we don't have at the moment is an obvious topping pattern here, apart from this head and shoulders here, which is broken down with a target in the 510 area. I am thinking if we get down to the 510, 512 area, we could form a right shoulder, and that potentially give us a larger pattern. And also I've got another possible head and shoulder neckline in about the 499 area. All right, let's have a look at IWM. And IWM, this was already below the daily middle band and tested the daily lower band on Friday. Not a lot to see. In terms of the hourly chart, no current divergence. In terms of the setup here, this is again the rising support from the late March low. That is now broken. And we have a potential head and shoulders here forming. So I am wondering if this might be the start of a move down to this main rising support trend line, which would be quite a long way below in about the 258 area. Looking at DAX, DAX potential overall double top here. Nothing to see in terms of divergence really. In terms of Nikkei, the lower this goes, the less this is going to look like a bull flag. And what I would note is we're now reaching a potential head and shoulder neckline. We could see a bounce here, obviously. And if we do, that could be a right shoulder forming now that this very nice looking rising megaphone has broken down. We shall see how that goes. All right, great. Let's have a look at DX. Okay, DX, this still looks very much like a bull flag forming overall. The next obvious target would be the flag resistance in the 101 area. Looking at the other currencies, USD still looks like a bear flag. GBP USD, okay looking potential bearish rising megaphone. USD JPY, we've been forming a compression triangle here, and that looks like it's starting to break up towards retest of the high. So that's looking interesting. USD CAD, this does not look like a flag. So far, we've had a 60-minute buy signal fixed for a while, and that's delivered nothing, but that may change. This kind of looks like a bear flag forming on Australian dollar, and on NZ, this actually looks like something very contradictory to that, like an IHS, which is breaking up with a target in the 59.63 area. So we will see how that develops. All right, looking at those on the bigger picture charts. US dollar. Obviously, bigger picture, we've got this big bull flag, and that we may be heading up towards flag resistance, and then potentially that could break up towards 114.78. Not seeing an awful lot of bullish action here lately, but I would say that we are breaking back over the monthly middle band at the moment in the 155 area. In terms of the weekly bands, we've reached the weekly upper band, and we're holding the middle band as support so far. Weak RSI 14 buy signal has already reached the possible near miss target. In terms of the daily charts, no current divergence, but we've got this double bottom which is broken up with a target in the 104.572 to 105.239 area. We have seen in areas previously when we were seeing the war hotting up and oil going up, we have seen the dollar going up. So far, we've not really been seeing that. In terms of the euro, No current divergence. I am wondering about this possible falling wedge here, which looks kind of like a bull flag. The alternative is that we've got a double top that's broken down with a target in the 110 to 108.5 area. On GBP USD, nice looking rising wedge. We've seen a very slight break of the wedge support, but that hasn't followed through yet. We've got a nice looking potential level top here already. We've got an RSI 5 sell signal, which is fixed, and actually the action on the new Prime Minister ascending in Britain has been bullish enough that that's actually coming a bit close to failing. USD JPY retested the 162, of course, and we're waiting to see if that high gets a retest. USD CAD. Sharper decline than I was really expecting here. There really wasn't a pattern set up for here, but bigger picture, we've got a double top which is broken up with a target at a retest of the February high at 1.4793, and I'm still thinking we may well make that. If we see a strong move up on the dollar, then that looks extremely doable. In terms of Australian dollar, possible head and shoulders, right shoulder forming here, but to be honest, if it broke down directly, this would be a perfectly acceptable level top. Nice bearish pattern. NZUSD, harder to call, but bigger picture, we've been forming a triangle here for the last 6 years and change. That has been trying to break up. We're at a decision point here, and we've been at a decision point most of the year, all of the year really, where this is either going to follow through to the upside or break down instead to the downside. We are still waiting. All right, great. Let's have a look at bonds. Now, bonds have been wiggling around uncertainly. These have generally been bearish when we've been in more war and higher oil. We are potentially forming an inverted head and shoulders here, which I'm keeping an eye on, and we've got an IHS which is already broken up and maybe in the process, of course, of failing on ZN, but it would need to go under this level here to fail, which is still some distance away. We will see, but that so far is not looking particularly encouraging after the breakup. All right, looking at that on the bigger picture. Right, TYX, I've done the hourly chart for this now, because I wanted to have a closer look at what was going here. We've got an RSI 14 sell signal that has reached the possible MS target. Bigger picture, we've got a weak RSI 5 sell signal, which is fixed, and I'm watching that with interest because down on here is up on bonds. We've seen a bit of action in that direction on bonds, but not an awful lot. So still waiting for that to resolve. Bigger picture, obviously on TYX and TNX, I need to mention this every so often, we've got huge inverted and shoulder patterns, which in the event there is a major crisis of confidence in the in US Treasuries, possibly due to ever escalating debt, then of course that could be a big issue and go take this up a long way. TNX, I've got the same. At a slightly different stage, but basically singing from the same hymn sheet. Looking at TNX daily, we've got an RSI 5 sell signal fixed there too. Again, haven't seen the downside to make that signal, but I am wondering about a rally on bonds here. On the hourly chart, nothing to see. But I am wondering if this flag here, which is broken up, might develop into a larger flag, but that would involve a big rally on bonds. I'm not sure it's really got the juice to deliver that. On the daily chart on TLT, no current divergence, and the RSI 14 bicycle has reached the possible MS target. So it's uncertain, but I am wondering about indications that we might see a significant move up. All right, moving on to oil. The reopen today has taken us almost to the IHS targets. I was writing about this on Friday. The IHS has broken up with a target in the 91.50 area, and here we are basically at 91. So we've almost reached it on coil. We've still got a weak 60-minute sell signal fixed. I was saying that might fail. It's getting pretty close to failing. On CL, we've seen a breakup here, and we've actually made it to the target in the 84.25 area. I was talking about on the RTH chart, on the spot chart, about this going to 86, and we're getting pretty close to 86. We've still got a weak 6-minute sell signal fixed here too, and that hasn't failed yet, but it's thinking about it. All right, looking at HO. HO, we had a 60-minute sell signal fixed here too. I rolled this into September. This had reached the possible near miss target, but on September it hadn't, so I drew it back in. This again is heading higher. Long since made the IHS target here. On RBOB, heading higher as well. This 60-minute sell signal here may have failed. It's very close. Sorry, I'm just going to have a quick look at that. If it has failed, then another potential one is brewing here, but I have to say I'm not really looking. I'm looking for it to go up another couple of bucks before we reach the next inflection point. I think I need to have a look at that tomorrow. That's really close. I think it has just survived. In which case it may fix it for me overnight by failing. We will see, but obviously we've long since made the inverse head and shoulder target here too. NG, we had an IHS, it broke up. I brought this in September as well. We got a 6-minute buy signal fix, hasn't quite reached the possible NMS target. We do have a potential double bottom here if it's got the inclination to see a rally. We shall see. All right, let's have a look at that on the bigger picture charts. And I've got just on this polymarket thing, this is actually just a kind of crypto futures trading thing, which I'm not trading, but is interesting for weekend prices on out of hours. So I've got a couple of these, and next time when I do webinars before the market is opened, I'll be looking at this. Looking at the Brent chart on the daily chart, we're now getting towards, obviously we need to close the day, but we're getting towards the weak RSI 14 buy signal, reaching the possible NMS target here. We are back over, we are getting pretty close to the 3SD upper band, although I've got that up in the 93 area and we're only at 93.5 and we're only at 91. I was saying that after the flag last week, this can now actually start expanding pretty fast. So I am wondering whether we will see an inflection point here where we might see oil go up another, $5 or $10 on a daily upper band ride, and that's one thing I'm watching out here for. In terms of the hourly chart, we've got a weak RSI 14 sell signal fixed here too. That did make possible NMS target, and that is very close to failing now. Here, I was looking, and I mentioned this in my post on Friday. After the flags, I've just marked in the flags with declining red lines. I've got a nice a nice bullish channel here, and I've got that channel resistance up in about the 94.25 area. If we are going to see a large move up, which is going to be a serious breakup, then this channel will break to the upside, and that's something I'm watching for, because you don't tend to get bearish overthrows on channels, so I was quite glad to see that here. But in the meantime, I'm kind of looking for this as a target, and I'm going to be watching very carefully to see what happens when we get there. In terms of WTI, we have reached the possible, we're reaching, not quite reached, but reaching the possible NMS target on the weak RSI 14 buy signal, and we are testing the 50 DMA, which we haven't broken above. The bands aren't expanding quite as fast as they are on Brent, but it's already at 87, we're only at 85 here. We could easily do another couple of bucks. In terms of heating oil, tiny bit of negative divergence here. Here I've got a flag which looks as though it's broken up with a target at a retest of 471. I think that may well, looking at the way the war is developing, I think that may well be a very makeable target within a couple of weeks. In terms of the hourly chart, we had a 60-minute sell signal here too, but that's already made the possible NMS target. Looking at gas oil, on the daily chart, we didn't have any positive divergence. We are well back over the 50 DMA, and it doesn't look as though we're forming a head and shoulders here, which is something that had crossed my mind. Looks as though we're probably heading back up to a retest of this high here at 3.7782. In terms of the hourly chart, we've got a bit of negative divergence here that may not survive the night. We've got an IHS which has broken up with a target in the 3.51 area, and we're getting pretty close to that. We've made it up to 3.46 so far. I'm expecting that target to be made. All right, in terms of natural gas, we've got a weak RSI 5 buy signal fixed, and there is some scope for a rally here, but I think bigger picture, we're probably heading down to retest this low here at 2.49. We shall see, because we had an IHS break up here and fail, and we saw a pretty solid resistance at the 200 DMA here at currently at 3.4. I think we're likely to see a move down to 2.49. We'll see whether I'm right. Okay, in terms of the way the oil is going, it's been expanding over the weekend, and is in the process of escalating. It hasn't escalated yet to the point that I was warning about, which is where we start seeing Iran actively attacking the water water desalination plants of all of their Gulf neighbours, but I think they have attacked. There have been 3 attacks now on the one in Kuwait, and maybe it's using that as the object example. If the US keeps attacking civilian infrastructure, I'm expecting that to expand, and also more attacks on oil and gas infrastructure. That could cause some serious damage, which could take months or possibly years to repair. That would be a bad development, in my view. We shall see. All right, let's have a look at the metals. GC, I've drawn in the line here. This is where it would retest the low. Now I'm just going to have a quick look at the gold chart here, and have we retested the low here? We have not. Sorry, sometimes the spot chart gets a bit ahead of the futures chart. So this is still unfinished business below, in my view. We haven't made it. We do have a weak 6-minute buy signal fixed. We might see a bit more of a rally. I would like to see this target made, but I would note that there have been a couple of other developments as well. SI obviously had already retested the low, but I was talking about the unbroken bear flags here on Friday morning, and on Friday, the palladium flag has broken down. Now, this could be expanded into a larger flag. We could be looking at something else, but it looks an awful lot like a bear flag. And it's broken down, and the target for a bear flag is a retest of the prior low, which in this instance would be in about the 1155 area. So I'm wondering if we're going to do that now. On platinum, we also break down. That's a closer target. We actually almost made that on the first breakdown. I've got that target in about the 1555 area, and I'm thinking that will be a relatively easy one to make. So I'm thinking that's probably going to make target at the same time gold does, but I am wondering whether palladium's going to head down. We shall see. In terms of HG, this is the flag which has survived so far, and we've not seen a breakdown. We've still got a double top which has broken down, and mediocre double top on the futures, but a pretty good looking one on the RTH chart. And I'm still wondering if this is going to continue to the downside. If it does that, that's probably going to be while we see weakness on equities. All right, let's have a look at those on the bigger picture charts. And looking at gold. We've got an RSI 14 buy signal fixed, and I'm thinking if we can just retest the low, set up a double bottom, and then break and convert the daily moving band, then we're off to the races with a nice looking nested double bottom. So, I mean, obviously it could go lower, but I'm not seeing much reason to think that it would. I'm really liking that. We shall see. SI, we've got a possible weak RSI 14 buy signal brewing, and again, we've got a double bottom here. We need to see a break in conversion of the daily middle band. No ifs, no buts, no maybes. I do have a potential little trend line target down here in the 52.5 area, which I'm watching. Looking at palladium, we've broken down from the flag, but I would note that that's given us a back test of the broken falling wedge. Possible that could hold as support. We shall see. On platinum, we've got pretty close to a retest of the low, and I think chances are we are going to see the retest of the low. We've already got an RSI 14 buy signal fixed. So I'm just going to extend this line slightly. All right, okay. Sorry, that was annoying me. I don't think we've got a buy signal on palladium, and that's because we don't. And we're not going to get one, not on the daily chart with a retest of the low, but we could get one on the weekly RSI 5. Okay, looking at copper. Copper on a rally, waiting to see if the double top is going to deliver to the downside. If we start seeing a lot of weakness on equities, then that's got a shot at making at a big decline. We shall see, because they've got a nice looking nested double top set up here, and potentially break down below this larger double top support at 5.268, and we can find ourselves back in the 4 area. So we shall see. Well, maybe not quite as low as that. Nope, it would be as low as that. We're talking about 3.8. Looking at GDX, this is obviously, this kind of looks like a possible head and shoulders forming. I don't think that's what it is. I've got a nice looking on the daily chart, nested double bottom set up, but we're still waiting for it to turn up. No divergence, really worth the mention. We've got a weak RSI 5 buy signal on the GDX 60-minute chart. That's not really a lot to write home about. GDXJ, again, reasonable nested double bottom here, but needs to see an impulse up. And again, we've got a weak RSI5 buy signal fixed. All right, let's have a look at the other commodities. All right, KC. KC has been heading back towards the trend line, and I'm wondering if it might make that. This looks like a bullish consolidation, possible triangle, possible flag forming at the moment. In terms of SB, we've got a double top which is broken down. That may be rejecting back up to the high. We'll see. Cocoa, we've actually got a head and shoulders, not a perfect head and shoulders by any means, but we've got a reasonable head and shoulders which is broken down with a target in the 4400 area. I am wondering if this might reject back up to the high. In terms of lumber came down and actually broke the rising support trend line. Not sure how seriously to take that. Honestly, this really has been drifting for a while. So I'm still wondering about a possible retest of this high here. In terms of CT, we had an IHS, it broke up, it failed. That's got a target and a retest of the low, and I'm expecting to see that. We've got a 6-minute sell signal fixed. We might rally a bit more in the short term. Bigger picture, though, a retest of this low here is no unfinished business. Wheat is continuing higher and looking for a retest of this high next, but potentially very much continuation higher. Corn, again, wondering about continuation higher. On soy, we've got a big, this is all a right shoulder on a big inverted head and shoulders here. Hang on a second, let me just check something. Yeah, sorry. It's I'll give you the context for that in a minute. But we've got a potential nested double top here. I'm not really expecting that to play out. We'll see. ZL is getting pretty close to a retest of this high, and I'm liking to see that retest unless we're going to form a larger bull flag. Now, live cattle and lean hogs, this has actually changed quite a bit, and the reason is that normally, well, for years, Interactive Brokers have really given me a maximum of 3 months of futures charts. And some of them have expanded to 4. It's actually expanded up to, and this is for to continue having Audi candles on charts. This is actually expanded up to a year on live cattle and lean hogs. I'm actually using 9 months at the moment. This has allowed me to have a much broader picture, and that actually changes what I'm looking at significantly. This was a breakdown. This is a head and shoulders, and that's broken down with a target in the 204.45 area. We do have a possible weak 6-minute buy signal brewing, but that is potentially going to take us down a lot lower. HE looks very different. HE, I rolled this, both of these I rolled into October, but we had a little inverted head and shoulders which broke up and made target, and here we've got a larger IHS which is broken up with a target in the 95.2 area. So that looks rather different to the previous setups, and that's because my ability to chart these has actually just been upgraded an awful lot. So we're going to be getting more daily buy and sell signals as well. So, but for the meantime, I've redrawn these on the 9-month charts, and I'm much happier with where I am in terms of the analysis of both of these. These are heading off strongly in opposite directions, which is less usual. So it may be that one of those is going to fail and go back to trading with the other. We shall see. All right, great. Let's have a look at those on the big picture charts. And coffee. Coffee, this looks like a bullish consolidation. We still got an RSI5 sell signal fix. We may see this turn into an ABC and go down to a lower low here. We shall see. Looking at sugar. Sugar, we've got a nice looking falling wedge. It's broken up, but we don't really have a bottoming pattern for it yet. Nothing of high quality anyway. I am wondering if this might turn out to be a bearish triangle. Sorry, I'll just draw that in. This is what I'm wondering. So let's do that in purple. Distinguish it from the others. So this is what I'm wondering in terms of potential bearish action here. Not actually a great triangle by any means, but we will see. Short term, we had an RSI5 sell signal on the daily, and that's now made target. Looking at cocoa, cocoa, I'm wondering whether an IHS right shoulder is forming here. If so, that would have an ideal low in the 48, 43 areas. Is that 48? Yeah, it is. All right. Looking at lumber. Lumber, obviously, we've got a big bearish setup here, which has been taking forever to deliver anything. And in the short term, though, I am wondering about a double top here. And we've got a possible weak RSI 14 sell signal brewing and a weak RSI 5 sell signal brewing on the daily. So I am wondering if we might see a significant reversal here. Or when I say significant, this could give back much of the recent rise, get us back into, let's say, the 590 area. All right, looking at cotton. Cotton. We have a nice looking double bottom here. It's broken up, and I'm wondering if it's failing. If we get back to 75.42, then it will have failed, and we could be forming a larger bull flag at that stage, or we could just be in a, well, no, I'd probably be looking for a larger bull flag, but that bull flag could then take us into a retracement down, let's say 71, 72, and still be a bull flag. In terms of wheat, on the bigger picture, we've got a double bottom which is broken up, and I'm wondering, having made a higher high here on Friday, whether we are resuming the uptrend. That would have a target in the 739 to 742 area. On the daily chart, no current negative divergence, looking good. On corn, we've got a nice looking double bottom here too. That hasn't broken up, and we had a weak RSI 5 buy signal, and that's now reached the possible near miss target. I would like to see this go higher. So far, it seems a little reluctant. And we do have a possible RSI 5 sell signal brewing, although we're still on RSI 14 buy signal, and that's actually fixed. Waiting to see which way this is going to go, leaning upwards short term. On soybeans, this is a potential inverse head and shoulders, and this would be the right shoulder forming, and it's a nice one. Hasn't broken up yet. If it does, that would have a target in about the 1560 area. Daily chart, we've got an RSI 5 sell signal, which is fixed. So we might see a period of consolidation or pullback. We shall see. All right, great. And let's finish off with crypto. And all right, Bitcoin. We're still at an inflection point here. Short term on Bitcoin, I'm wondering whether this is a double top or whether we are going to continue higher and break up from what is obviously a potential double bottom. We will see how that goes. Bigger picture, I don't think the low is in for the bear market. We're a couple of months too early. I think we're looking at a rally, and then we come and make the final low. We shall see. If we have serious trouble erupt on equities because of the war in Iran, then potentially we could see a liquidation thing where we could see this push down to about the 40 level. That's about as low as I see it going. And this is a potential low here, but I'm leaning towards seeing a low in about the 50 area. In terms of Solana, this still is a potential flag here. I am wondering about a retest of this high here at 83.89 here, potentially set up a double top. On Ethereum, we've got nice looking bear flag here too. This doesn't need a retest of the high, but could get one anyway. But if we hold this area here, I'd be wondering about going back and retesting the current bear market low from there. We shall see. And potentially setting up a larger rally. All right, great. In that case, I think that's a wrap. Everyone take care. I'll catch you guys again on Wednesday. All right, cheers.